Good morning. Welcome to community.
That's all you're saying?
Yeah, is that all I say?
Try again.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the community.
Please join us as... Good morning. Welcome to community.
Join us for worship online. I don't know. That sounds good.
Online. That was like a
that.
commercial. It's so hot in here. Let's go. I do that. Let's go. Are you ready? Let's go. Good morning and welcome to community.
Grab your bowl of cereal and worship with us in the living room.
Good morning. Welcome to community. My name is Charlie. Let's worship God through song. Now the darkness fades into new beginnings as we lift our eyes to the hope beyond. All creation waits with an expectation to declare the reign of the Lord our God. We will not be moved when the earth gives away, for the risen one is overcome. For every fear there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Now the silence breaks in the name of Jesus, as the heavens cry, let the earth respond. Yeah. All creation shouts with a voice of triumph to declare the reign of the Lord our God. Yeah. Will not be moved when the earth gives away, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Overcome. Oh. He shall reign forever, strongholds now surrendered for the Lord our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender, He is Lord and He has overcome. He shall reign forever, strongholds now surrendered for the Lord our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender, He is Lord, He has overcome. We will not be moved when the earth gives away, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah, yeah. And for every fear there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah. We will not be moved when the earth gives away, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah, yeah. And for every fear there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Oh. He shall reign forever, strongholds now surrendered for the Lord our God has overcome. Well, guys, I know you've been watching worship this way for quite a while. I think this might be the last week that you have to put up with worship from the the cave down here in my basement. This is our last recorded worship service from my studio here as we get ready to head back to church. And we'll have a live band, hopefully, as many as are willing and able to come. And we'll be recording worship, not from the cave, but from the township location. So looking forward to that, looking forward to playing again with my team. But let's stay and worship a little while longer. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. Worship you, worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. Worship you, worship you. You are here, healing every life. Worship you, worship you. You are here, turning lives around. Worship you, worship you. You are here, mending every heart. Worship you, worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 Oh. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. That is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. is who you are. That 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 is who you are. As we have spent 4 months, probably a little bit over 4 months in lockdown, and for some of us, life didn't change. We just, one of the guitar players on our team, Scott, drives truck, and he said, you know, my life really hasn't changed. The traffic just got a lot better. I thought that was interesting. So we all had different experiences, but one of the things I did is I led nightly worship sets in my basement for about 3 months straight. And I would always say, like, I think God looks at this and he goes, hey, I can work with this. It's not my plan for my people or this world, but I can work with this. And if you look back, we've had to address our fears. We've had to address our concerns about our health, the way we interact with people. We've had to address things deep hidden in our heart, about race relations in the country. We've had to look into our heart for prejudices that might have been present, or just a willingness to be okay with the status quo. And I said this at the very beginning. I hope things don't just go back to normal, because for some of us, normal wasn't that great. But we found some new songs that have become part of our library of songs as a community. But I think God honored his word when he said, I can work with this. Look at what we've had to go through. Look at what we've been through. And as we wrap up this last evening of kind of recorded worship for Community Christian Church, and we look forward to getting back to playing as a band, I think we can be thankful of what God has kind of uncovered, revealed, and shined light on. And hopefully we come back to community maybe in another 4 or 5 weeks or so, but we come back as better followers of Christ, willing to see each other the way God sees each other. God sees us. I am weary from the waves crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me. I am longing for your voice, gentle whisper in the noise. Father, tell me everything's alright. Your power, your presence breaks strong. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, you alone can take my scars, piece by piece restore my heart. Take what's broken, make it whole again. Your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. And I believe there will falls apart. Open the heavens, Almighty God, you are overcome, defender of my heart. Oh, by your power, oceans are open wide. Your fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Oh, your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move, and I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, breakthrough. Oh, there will be breakthrough. Oh, I am weary from the waves crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me.
Hey, I'm Noah. I'm the student pastor here at Community.
And I am Jerica. We are so glad that you are here and would love to know about it.
Yeah, and there is a great way that you can do that. You can go to communitychristianchurch.com/churchonline, and you can fill out our virtual connect card at the bottom of the page there. And that's great not only to tell us that you're here, but to leave any questions or comments or prayer requests that you might have. And there's even more cool stuff that you can do with that page too. That has all sorts of resources for your family. Our children's ministry has put out some really great stuff during this time to help your kids continue to worship and learn online. And we've got good stuff for students and opportunities to connect with small groups and even opportunities to give online. And that's really important to do even as we're not meeting together in person. You can text to give, you can give right there on the website, or you can mail in a check to us at our address, and that's all right there online.
And we are so excited to start phasing into meeting together in person.
Yeah, starting next week, we will have on-campus viewing groups, which means that you can grab some of your closest friends here from church and your family, and you can grab a room here on campus and watch our live service together.
And on August 2nd, we're going to kick off meeting together in person with an outside live worship event.
Yeah, and then the week after that, we're shooting to get back together in person for regular worship, so stay tuned for more details on what that might look like.
So let's grab our Bibles, open your YouVersion app, and let's go hear what Scott has to say.
Good morning. I am so excited to get to be here and speak with you today. I'm really glad that you're tuning in with us. And it's just exciting times. I know things are uncertain in the world, but I'm really, really glad to see people starting to find a way to deal with all the emotions and the feelings that you've been holding back for a while. I'm also excited to get to walk through a little of our reopening plans with you today. And let's start with what will be happening next Sunday, July 12th. Next Sunday, we'll be opening our buildings for small watch parties. And that means that there will be rooms at both locations showing our worship experience. So you can meet as a small group as long as it's under 20 people. You can come as an individual and jump into a group, or you can continue to watch from home. And we're great with all of that. We just want to give you a chance to connect with some of your friends and to do worship together. Now, we still want you to practice distancing and safety, but it's the start of our reopening plan. Now, that will go on for 3 weeks, showing up at either location in a small group watch parties, and then on August 2nd, we'll be having an outdoor in-person worship experience, so a reopening celebration. And Charlie and the band will be playing, I'll be speaking, and if you're comfortable, you can bring a lawn chair and join us at the township location at 6 o'clock on Sunday night, August the 2nd. And then starting August the 9th, if everything is still going well, we'll start Sunday morning live in-person worship. So that's just a few weeks out. Remember, we love you, we care about you, we're listening to what you're saying, and we want to keep you safe. So all that's part of our plan to reopen with you in mind. Now, it's been an interesting few months. I mean, it really has. For us as individuals and for us as a church. Our culture, our attitudes, our actions, our mindsets, our spiritual lives, we have all been impacted for better or worse, and we've all been changed by these moments. We've been trying to hit on some of these changes during our teachings, and we've walked through loving our neighbors and dealing with our anger, and today we're going to look at what do we do when we're just offended. I was talking with my good buddy and my spiritual mentor, Jeff Metzger, and he said this, does it surprise you how offended everyone seems to be about everything? And then he gave me some great insight that I really want to share with you today and pass it on. He said it's easy to get drawn into an offense. And man, that's true. We live in an age where being offended just happens all the time. You don't like what I say or do, and I don't like what you say or do, and we're off to the races of being offended at each other. Can anyone notice how the TV media and the social media, they just kind of pick up on one thing, and usually it's something negative, and it causes so many of us to either believe it's true or to breed this feeling offended kind of attitude. Look at this lady. Her picture is going to come up on the screen. She just kind of looks offended to me. Matter of fact, it was an Instagram meme, and it shows the 1300s, 1800s, 1900s, and 2000s right now. And when you look at it, in the 1300s, the main thing happening in the culture was the Black Plague. And that's what people were talking about, and that's what their culture was trying to figure out. And then in the 1800s, the main thing people were dealing with was the fact that they were working 16 hours a day. Even the little kids were working 16 hours a day in factories. So they had to try to find ways to get through that and to do things differently. And in the 1900s, the main thing people were dealing with was going to fight wars. I mean, emotions and the reality of people dying by the thousands was difficult to walk through, but we did it. And in the 2000s, it's all about being offended. And I just want to make sure that I stop here for a moment. And I want to make sure that I personally apologize to plague victims and child and industrial workers and soldiers and to crying people everywhere. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to make anyone mad or get anyone all riled up. That's not my purpose. I'm just trying to address the issue that's here, the issue that's right in front of us, the issue that's dividing us and separating us. Now, in some cases, my statement, I'm not trying to offend you, doesn't really matter because just by saying it, I've already offended you. And that has to stop. We have to have a bigger and a more godly perspective on life than that. But on the other side of that, we all need to understand that feeling offended is real. It just is. And we might not have meant to offend somebody, but somehow we did. And that pain is there and it's deep. When's the last time you offended someone? Just think about that. When was the last time you were offended? And I'm talking about like unintentional being offended, not being a jerk or a bully and intentionally offending someone. You said something, someone took it the wrong way. They did something, you took it the wrong way, and now neither of you is talking. When was the last time that happened? Well, it just isn't very hard to look around and see that we live in a culture where just these offenses are going on, whether they're real or imagined. It's all around us. It's in the media, but more importantly, you can feel it in your own heart and in your family and in your friendships. And some of you right now are offended because you're thinking, I'm saying one thing, and I might be saying something completely different, but you're offended by what you think that I'm saying. Just sit back and relax. Stop being offended because it's not what you think it is. You continue to be offended by the offended. That's what we're doing. We're being offended by people that are offended, which makes us offended, and we're all messed up, mixed up, and don't know which side is up. Most of us don't even realize how deadly this offended attitude is to our spirits, to our hearts, to our soul, and definitely to our relationships. Here's what I'm asking you to start doing today, all right? I want you to see every offense in two stages. Not just one, not just a blanket statement, but two stages. Stage one, it's the feeling of offense. Now, we've all been there. Any one of you listening today that have not been offended in some way during your lifetime? No. We've all been offended by someone. Maybe you're even feeling that way today. Maybe it's someone in your family that has offended you. Maybe it's something in the news that's offended you. Maybe someone's opinion on the racial situations happening right now is offending you. And let me say this, how you react to the things that offend you truly shows that it's not the thing that you think offended you that offends you. It's something deeper. See, the thing that we put as the thing that offends us isn't really what it is. There's something deeper inside of us that's offended, and we have to look and search and figure that out. Because when we get offended, we feel overlooked. It's just true. You didn't look for my answer. You didn't look for my response. You didn't ask me. We feel insulted when we get offended. Like I had the answer to this. Why didn't you talk to me? I'm insulted that you didn't even consider me. We feel violated. We feel taken advantage of. We feel not considered. That's stage one, feeling offended. When you feel like something is directed at you and you respond with an emotion or you respond with a feeling. Here's the second stage. It's the choice to live or not live offended. When we feel offended and those feelings start to overflow from our hearts, that's where stage two comes in. What are we going to do with those emotions? Well, we have two options. We can live offended or we can not live offended. They're pretty basic, aren't they? Those are your options. Just because you felt offended does not mean that you need to live offended. Just because something struck you the wrong way does not mean that you have to go off the deep end and live like you've been offended. It's the wrong way to react. Let's go a little deeper in this. Let's say stage one. Someone serves you the opportunity to be offended. You know, you've got all these offenses in this craft. You know, there are things that we can be offended by, and they're all kind of represented right here. And maybe for you, maybe somebody just offended you by your lifestyle, by their lifestyle. Maybe your spouse offended you. Maybe you offended them. Maybe it was a coworker or a neighbor, or something happens and they serve you this big glass of offense from all these offenses that are out there. You know, let's just pour those into here. We've got all these things going on that somebody has offended you by, okay? Somebody has offended you with all these things, all right? It's a lot of offense in your life. I mean, you look at it, you think, that's just wrong. How could they do that? How could they say that? How could they mean that? And then you kind of twirl it around and you look on the other side and it looks even worse on this side. And you just don't know what to do with it. So you call your friends and you show them. You say, you see this? You see this offense? You see what that person did to me? I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with all this offense in my life. That's stage one. Someone's offended you, all right? Maybe somebody says something unkind about you. Maybe you feel disrespected. Maybe somebody cuts you off, and there's the offense. Now, what do you do with it? How do you live with it? How do you respond to it? Stage two is this. Do I go from feeling offended to living offended? Is that what you're going to do? Sometimes our feelings just flare up. Sometimes we really don't have any control and we just lash out, especially living in this COVID-19 culture right now where we're not able to be around a lot of people and we're lashing out at everyone. Someone said our feelings are like birds flying over our head. You can't stop them from flying over you, but you don't have to let them build a nest in your hair or on your head. You get to choose what happens after the feelings are there. You get to decide how much you hold on to them or how much you let them go. It's your decision. Yeah, you're offended. And yes, that's real and it's painful and you're hurt and it's a horrible situation to be in. But no matter how you look at the offense, it's eating you up. And it's wrong. But it isn't even a question of right or wrong. It's a question of what do you do with the feelings? Because obviously they were wrong if you felt offended. So what do you do with those emotions and feelings and situations? Are you going to transition from feeling offended to picking up the cup and drinking it and living offended and letting it poison you? Those are your choices. Someone said this, living offended is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. I mean, how often is that going to happen? Never. The only person that gets hurt when you live offended is you. You need to draw a line in the sand and say out loud, living offended is deadly to me. And maybe that needs to be in your bedroom at night. Maybe that needs to be somewhere where you're in this quiet moment and no one is around you, but you need to say that out loud. Just to be able to say, living offended is deadly to me because it's tearing you up on the inside. It's affecting your emotions and your outlook on life. Jesus taught about this over and over and over again. If you have your Bibles, your iPads, your YouVersion apps, open to Matthew chapter 5 and go to verse 21. It says this, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder. And anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Now, here's the issue. Sometimes we get murdered and it has nothing to do with an attack on our physical body. Sometimes it's an attack on our spirit. Sometimes it's an attack on our heart. Sometimes it's an attack on our soul. And when somebody attacks us by offending us, then they attack us and we instantly get angry when they do that. And we instantly get ticked off when they do that. And it's not physically killing us, but it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually killing us. And we just lash out. Jesus continues, again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, rakah, that's something offensive that's thrown at you. And there are a lot of offensive things that can get thrown at us in life, and most of them are not socially acceptable in any way. But when somebody does that, somebody is saying to a brother or sister, they're cursing at them, they're putting them down, that's the rakah kind of thing. And he goes on to say, that's answerable to the court, and anyone who says you fool will be in danger of the fire of hell. Now, there are consequences that lead to eternal destruction. I believe that. I believe there's a judgment day. I believe some of the consequences lead to separation from God. But I think Jesus in this scenario is talking about what's happening around us every single day. The word for hell is the Greek word for Gehenna. And that was an actual valley in Jerusalem where people sacrificed their children to pagan gods, and later it became a garbage dump. It was a place where there were always fires burning, always smoldering, always smoke. It was always smelling of gases and fumes, and no one wanted to live around Gehenna because it was literal, a hell on earth. And I think Jesus is saying that when our attitude towards others is angry and when we choose to live offended, we're putting ourselves in a hell on earth. We set this fire free inside of us that doesn't destroy others, but it's destroying us from the inside out. Living offended is like living in hell. And a lot of us are living there right now. I mean, just take a look at your attitudes. Take a look at your relationships with your family. Take a look at your relationship with your friends or your coworkers or your neighbors, or maybe it's just your attitude in general. Are you walking through hell right now because you're offended at everything and everyone? The reason it's so hard for us to stay happy is that it's so easy to stay offended. That's why. Just so easy to stay offended. And you can't be both offended and happy because they can't coexist. And if you choose to live offended, then you're drinking the poison and you're living in that literal hell that's going to destroy you. It will consume you. It will tear you apart. And the sad thing is, many of us know that. So why do we choose to keep living offended? Maybe it's ignorance. We're just going, I'm not sure what's doing this, when inside, deep inside, you really know. Maybe it's immaturity. We're acting like a junior high kid. and we're reacting in that way and we're lashing out in that way, we're not acting and reacting in a mature type fashion. Maybe it's all the stress and fatigue on you. Maybe it's the distance you have from God right now. Anyone else figure out what that Christians seem to be the most offended people out there? Have you noticed that? It just blows me away when I think about how Christ followers live. Especially since we follow a God who has overlooked every offense that we have ever committed. Every single one. And yet we won't let anybody else go from offending us. Look at this cup. Look at that. All of these offenses that have been coming your way are wrong. And every one of these offenses are real. But don't miss this. God didn't ask you to drink this cup. God forgave the cup. He chose not to live offended. And He chose to give us a way out of our mess, a way out of our anger and our frustration and our fatigue. Here's another reason we live offended. It's due to the lies of the evil one. Listen, friends, I believe that. I think Satan is having a field day right now with us, and he wants to destroy us. And he wants to do that by dividing us. If we're ever going to get back on the right track, we need to learn the art of the other cheek. I know that sounds kind of funny, but we need to learn the art of the other cheek. Again, turn to Matthew 5, verse 39. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. You got to do that. That's not talking about being a doormat. It's talking about changing your attitude and how you respond to the people that are offending you. Offense is an event, but being offended is a decision that you make, a decision that you live in, a decision that you day by day have to live with. So, how many offenses out there that we can't control? Are there a lot of those for you? How many offenses are out there that we can't control? When you're offended is where you have the power and you get to choose. You see, you don't get to control any offenses that come your way, but you do get to control how you choose to live with those or not live with those. That's your choice. Romans 12:17 says this, don't hit back. Discover beauty in everyone. If you've got it in you, get along with everybody. And friends, if you're a Christ follower, you have it in you because we have the Holy Spirit, so we have this supernatural power to do that. Don't insist on getting even. That's not for you to do. I'll do the judging, says God. I will take care of it. Proverbs 19:11 says this, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. Are you living with wisdom or are you living with hatred and anger and revenge? Your choice. That's so different. If you want to be a disciple who makes disciples and be a Christ follower that makes Christ followers, you have to live with that forgiveness in your life because people are watching for you and they're waiting for somebody to do something different than everyone else is doing and being offended by everything that's said and everything that's done. Here's what Jeff Jacoby, he writes for the Boston Globe, he says this, at a time when Americans by the millions keep themselves in a state of high dudgeon, choosing not to be offended can be wonderfully refreshing. It just can. It's a whole different way of living. Ephesians 4:1-3 says this, as a prisoner for the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Don't miss this. Pride is one of those big things that causes us to be offended because we're not in the know and we're not the ones making the decisions and we can't control it, so our pride takes over. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through this bond of peace. Again, Proverbs 19:11 says this, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. Are you overlooking the offenses coming your way? Here are the challenges that I want to leave you with today. Here's the first challenge, that you love people, all people. You know, one of our core values as a church is to love God and love people, and we hope that's one of your core values, to love God and love people. When you love people, you just overlook where they're coming from, because people are people, and we're all making mistakes, and we're all frustrated, and we're all offending people, sometimes unintentionally, most of the time unintentionally. You love people even when they offend you. Here's the second challenge. Don't drink the poison. Don't drink it. Rather than living offended, live free. Dump the poison out. God has forgiven everything in your life. It's time for you to forgive the people around you. Here's challenge 3. Stop playing the victim and use that forgiveness in your life. Your words hurt, but I forgive you. Your actions hurt me, but I forgive you. Yeah, that happened time and time again, but I still forgive you. Quit holding on to stuff and offer the forgiveness. There's so much power in that. And here's the last challenge for you today. Live the power of the other cheek. Not about revenge. It's not about you feeling better by hurting someone else. It's about you saying, God, thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to forgive all the junk in my life. And there's a lot of it. And God, thank you for forgiving them all the junk in their life. And there's a lot of it. But together, if we choose to look over people's faults and their disgraces and their anger situations, how they lash out or how they take things in, if we can choose to overlook those things, we can be the kind of Christ followers that God created us to be. Living the perfect life that God created for us. I'm going to close with a prayer. And my prayer is that you start thinking about how you've offended somebody and start thinking about how somebody has offended you and offer and receive forgiveness today. Father God, I pray for everyone listening. God, may we sincerely look for the things that have hurt us, that are destroying us, that we've held on to, that we won't let go of. God, allow us to let go of those. Allow us to look at you forgiving us and allow us to forgive those that offend us, and allow us to allow people to forgive us for how we've offended them. God, may we look at our lives and say, God, help me not to live like this anymore. Help me to let it go. Help me to love you and to love the people around me. And I pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.
We're now entering a time of communion. So if you haven't already, run to your kitchen and grab something to eat and drink to join us in communion.
Yeah, this is the perfect time during your week to just hit the reset button, to let go of all the frustrations and stressors of life outside of your relationship with Jesus, and just take time to focus on Him, to hit reset. So join us in doing that over the next few minutes as we take some communion together.
Caught up in your presence, I just want to sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment, I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings, Jesus. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I I've come with my agenda, I'm sorry. When I forgot that you're enough, take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet, caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings, Jesus. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. 'Cause I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, yeah, nothing else, nothing else, yeah, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. 'Cause I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, see you next week, either for on-campus viewing groups or online.
Bye.